NAFTA. It's called the USCMA. How does something like that trade agreement work with these flip-flops with the tariff announcements that we get from Trump?
Delivered to me too is stand strong. We are not going to accept these continual threats, this continued uncertainty.
See the punch that's coming, and that counter punch that's going to come from Canada is going to hurt heavily. We know it's going to hurt us, but we have no choice.
For each other and our own independence on our own 2 feet. And I say we don't let up until the president takes the threat off the table.
Did you know Alaska is only connected to the mainland US through Canadian territory? Well, Trump just found out the hard way after Canada responded to his tariff hike by restricting US access through their country. Now those MAGA-loving Alaskans are about to experience what happens when America isn't so great at foreign relations. How's that for an inconvenient geography lesson? Canada just pulled the ultimate Uno reverse card. Ever wonder what happens when you pick a fight with the only country connecting your largest state to the rest of your country? Trump's about to find out, and spoiler alert, it's not going well for old Orange Face. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. In his latest episode of How to Lose Friends and Alienate Countries, Trump decided that slapping Canada with aluminum tariffs was a brilliant move.
Live now from Fox, as President Trump just announced that he will double the planned tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum.
Not just any tariffs, mind you. He cranked them up from 25% to a whopping 50%. This wasn't careful diplomacy. This was basically Trump throwing his McDonald's wrapper at Canada and saying, deal with it, maple lovers.
I did see the media report indicating that yet again, the president is sowing uncertainty and chaos.
What the stable genius apparently forgot during his tariff tantrum is one teeny tiny geographical detail. Alaska is completely separated from the rest of America by this country called Canada. You know, the very same country he just decided to poke with his stubby little tariff stick. It's like Trump looked at a map and thought, that big chunk up there? Probably not important.
Undermine our economy by implementing tariffs and then quickly pulling them off. He has realized what we told him from the beginning.
British Columbia's response was faster than Trump reaching for his phone at 3 a.m. They immediately introduced new tolls and inspection fees specifically targeting American trucks trying to reach Alaska. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. We're talking hundreds of dollars in new fees per truck. Canada basically said, oh, you need to drive through our country to reach your own state? That's gonna cost you a lot.
That enables us to respond to escalations from the American side. It will not be implemented immediately, but we will have it available if it's required.
The comedy of errors doesn't stop there. Canada also tightened import regulations on everything Alaskans need to survive. Fuel, food, consumer goods, all now subject to enhanced inspection protocols.
Which is that these tariffs hurt Americans. They hurt American companies. They hurt American workers.
That's Canadian for we're going to make sure every single can of beans gets thoroughly examined, eh? These new procedures have trucks backed up for miles at crossing points, with drivers reporting that border checks that used to take minutes now stretch into hours.
It's called the USCMA. How does something like that trade agreement work with these flip-flops with the tariff announcements that we get from Trump?
Trump's America First strategy somehow managed to put America's biggest state dead last. Alaska is literally stranded behind a Canadian toll booth, and the MAGA crowd up there is starting to realize that their hero's big mouth might cost them big bucks.
What's also hurting is the uncertainty that the continued threat and removal of tariffs has on our country here in Canada.
United States, I have instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff.
Nothing says winning like paying double for toilet paper because your president couldn't play nice with the neighbors. But wait, is Canada really blocking US access to Alaska? Well, not completely. They're too polite for that. They're just making it significantly more expensive and complicated.
Delivered to me too is stand strong. We are not going to accept these continual threats, this continued uncertainty.
Modification short term, because I didn't want to hurt the American It would have hurt the American car companies if I did.
Creating a geographic choke point that Trump never saw coming. It's like Canada found America's pressure point and is now gently pressing on it while saying sorry with each squeeze. The delicious irony in all this is that Alaska voted overwhelmingly for Trump, 53% to 43%. And now these same supporters are facing skyrocketing prices on everything from groceries to gas. The average Alaskan family is expected to pay an additional $200 to $300 per month just to offset these new Canadian measures. Turns out Make America Great Again comes with some fine print. Except Alaska, they're on their own. U.S. freight companies dependent on Alaska routes are in total chaos. Some trucking companies report delays of up to 72 hours at border crossings that used to take minutes. "We're hemorrhaging money," said one freight company owner who asked to remain anonymous. "We can't deliver on schedule, we're paying drivers overtime, and our customers are furious."
For each other and our own independence on our own 2 feet. And I say we don't let up until the president takes the threat off the table.
Several smaller operators have already suspended their Alaska routes entirely, further isolating the state. The ripple effects are hitting every corner of Alaskan life. Construction projects are stalling because materials can't get through. Grocery stores have bare shelves in some departments. Gas stations are implementing purchase limits. And who do Alaskans have to thank for this mess? The same guy whose face is plastered on their pickup truck bumpers. This situation perfectly captures Trump's negotiation genius. He managed to turn a simple trade dispute into a geographic nightmare that hurts his own supporters the most. It's like watching someone try to win a chess game by eating their own pieces. See, now you can't capture my knight because I already swallowed it. Checkmate.
Very chaotic tariff policy that the president is putting in place and pretending that that will have benefits for American workers and American communities across the country.
See the punch that's coming, and that counter punch that's going to come from Canada is going to hurt heavily. We know it's going to hurt us, but we have no choice.
And so, our little geography lesson comes to a close, folks. This isn't the first time Canada has flexed its geographic muscles during trade disputes. Historically, they've been quite savvy about targeting American goods when pushed into a corner. It's like Canada looked at a map and said, "Oh right, we literally surround part of your country. Interesting."
And we're going to ensure that the Americans understand how pissed off we are, how unified we are.
Donnie Diapers clearly skipped Geography 101, along with economics, ethics, and basic human decency. Now Alaska is basically the kid who gets punished because their parent couldn't behave at the PTA meeting. The orange turd managed to turn our 49th state into an economic island, all because he couldn't keep his tariff tantrums in check.
And it undermines our ability to make agreements with other countries about what kinds of trade we want to see. I mean, there's no doubt trade is so important.
So there you have it. When you elect a reality TV star to handle international relations, don't be shocked when your neighbor starts charging admission to your own driveway. That's just diplomacy for dummies, Trump edition.